morning comes with golden light. A whisper calls me to the fight.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Nude Green with Paballo Sefara. I am Paballo Sefara, a clinical nutritionist in medicine, an entrepreneur, and a founder of Nude Green. This platform is dedicated to bring you meaningful conversations that educate, that empower, and inspire individuals, businesses, and communities by connecting you with experts who provide practical solutions to real-life challenges. And today's episode is especially important as we discuss a topic that affects every South African, our rights in the workplace, our communities, and our municipalities. I'm honored to welcome back our special guest, Nadine Kruger, the founder and director of AnchorPoint, Administrative and Liaison Services. So today we'll be unpacking municipal services, compliance requirements, and community solutions. And more importantly, we'll be helping you understand your rights, where to turn when you need assistance. Hi, Nadine. Welcome back to Nude Green with Paballo Sefara. How are you doing today?
Fine, thanks, and you? Thanks for having us again.
Yes, I'm looking forward to today's conversation because we are almost 5-2 voting, and I know people complain a lot with service deliveries, and so today's topic is actually very relevant, and I'm excited about this because people will be getting answers on questions they've had. You know, some of these questions I've included is what we always ask ourselves. I mean, myself included, you know, and we don't have answers to. So I'm excited today we are talking about this.
Yes, I think answering a few municipal services questions will help a lot of people out there.
Yeah. Okay, so today we are talking about municipal services and accountability. And you know, when these people are in positions, they think they can just do whatever, and they're not accountable to anyone, you know, and they get free salaries, and but they're not delivering. And Nadine is the answer. You are our savior. You are our Christ. Come on. So the first question that I want to ask is many people do complain about municipalities, myself inclusive. But what are municipalities actually responsible for?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest missed concepts in South Africa is many people blame municipalities for everything when in reality different spheres of government have different responsibilities. Municipalities exist to provide basic local government services, and these services usually include your reliable water supply, sanitation, electricity, distribution where applicable, refuse removal. Many municipalities, or all municipalities, are also responsible for maintaining public infrastructure and ensuring that services are delivered fairly and effectively. However, municipalities also depend on residents. They do get their funding from the government, but like you know, that communities is the core income for them. And municipalities have to depend on residents in the way of they must report faults, they pay for their services that they are not receiving at the moment. I think that is the biggest issue. And good local government is therefore a partnership between the municipality and the people. At AnchorPoint, we often help people identify which authority is actually responsible before unnecessary time and money are wasted. A lot of people think that the electricity belongs to Eskom, sometimes the provisional government, sometimes the municipality itself. So knowing where to start with all these problems makes a very, very big difference.
Having said that, I always wonder if we as residents, do we have a right? I mean, we do vote for these people and we end up complaining about them at the same time. But do we have rights, and what rights do we have when municipalities fail to deliver services within the community?
Well, every South African has constitutional rights, but rights also comes with legal processes. Residents have the right to lawful, reasonable, and procedural fair administration actions. They have the right to dignity, equality, access to basic services where government has responsible to provide to them. If services constantly fail without reasonable explanation, residents have the right to ask questions, request information, and demand accountability. That doesn't mean every interruption is unlawful. Infrastructure breaks, drought happens, budgets become constrained. The important question is whether the municipality is responding appropriately, communicating honestly, and taking responsibility for the steps to resolve this. People should always begin by reporting the problem through the official municipal channels and keeping every reference number. If complaints are ignored, matters can be escalated to supervisors, municipal managers, councillors, provincial departments. At AnchorPoint, we encourage documentation from day one. Good records often become the strongest evidence in future action if future action becomes necessary.
Yeah, and tell me, if if a community is experiencing a prolonged water outage, electricity failures, or poor service collection, what legal steps can they take? Can we take?
The first step is never legal action. The first step is documentation, like I said. Keep records of every outage, every complaint, photographs where possible, and every reference number. Secondly, submit written complaints rather than relying on telephone calls only. And thirdly, involve your counsellor if there is one available.
Can residents or businesses hold a municipality legally accountable for poor service delivery?
Yes, but we must remember that accountability depends on facts. Municipalities have legal obligations, but they also have legal protection. Courts generally expect people to first exhaust available administrative remedies before approaching the courts. If a municipality ignores repeated complaints, acts unlawful, or cause financial loss through negligence in certain circumstances, legal remedies may become available. AnchorPoint does not encourage unnecessary litigation. Instead, we first explore every possible avenue of constructive engagement. When government and communities communicate professionally, many disputes can be resolved far quicker than people expect.
As you spoke about, you mentioned that there's a before you take a legal procedure, there will be conversations prior, and then should there be any failure, then you will do that. And I wondered to myself that like, what is the correct procedure of lodging the complaint? And like, for me, oh, okay, so with what is the correct procedure for lodging a complaint with a municipality before taking a legal action? Like, how patient are we going to be? Is it a month? Is it after 5 engagements or 10 engagements? How do we measure the waiting, or the way we say that, you know what, we've given them time, it's a fair time, now we are taking a legal action against them?
There's always a process, and every resident should rather follow this particular process. Most of them, I think 99% of municipalities out there do have a system where if you phone in with a complaint, you can ask for a reference number. They are actually supposed to give you a reference number. It's just like in your normal work where there's a job number. This reference number will always take you back to how many times you phoned. Keep your copies of your emails, your letters, your photographs. If there's no response after your escalation telephonically, then you write to the municipal manager and you give them 10 working days. 10 working days is the appropriate thing in all departments, even if you go to your provincial departments, 10 working days is their lead time to give feedback to you. A lot of municipalities have open public meetings where they discuss service delivery issues. Attend those meetings. I know it's time out of your daily, and you have got a long day and everything, but that is very important to have the inside information on these meetings. If a matter remains unresolved, further escalation may become appropriate depending on the circumstances. One mistake people make is becoming angry and insulting officials over the phone. I think you can think for yourself, if someone starts screaming in your ear, you're not really going to be out there to help them. That usually just delays the problem totally. Professional communication is the best way to achieve the best results. At AnchorPoint, we often assist clients by ensuring complaints are properly drafted, correctly addressed. So not everyone knows exactly what to write and how to put it on paper. So sometimes the difference between success and failure is simply just presenting the information in a more professional and a more calm way. Because we are a third party, we stand on the outside and we can be very calm, but we can still fight for their rights.
And I get that. And when you say that the only problem is that, well, sometimes is that we get too angry, but it's because of the frustration. I mean, in South Africa, especially when it comes to services, the government takes their time, and so that is why people get so angry. But what you're saying is so correct, that if we all get angry, nothing is going to be sorted out. We're just all gonna be shouting at each other, and that is why there's a lot of violence now due to failure of service delivery. But then let's talk about elections and community participation, right? As we approach the local government elections, why is it important for citizens to understand the role of councillors and municipalities?
I think basically we all know that we have to go and draw our little cross on the 4th of November. And I think if you know exactly what you are voting for and what the person is standing for, then you will know to do the right thing and to make the right decision. It does not help just going with the flow because your parents did it with the yellow team, and now all of a sudden everyone in your family is going for the yellow team. Especially in today's life, and we have to make sure that the values and what they are fighting for in the municipalities is what our core values are there. So before you take your vote or do your vote on the 4th of November, you must really go and sit and make sure that what you want is the person that you're going to vote for wants the same. You will have to have you have to hold your councillor accountable. You have to have your municipal authorities accountable. This is not just a one-day election. You're electing someone for 5 years. Someone is going to be there 5 years that have to fight for your values.
And how can we make sure that how can we as a community make sure that the promises during these election campaigns are actually fulfilled? Because they get excited, hey? They promise you heaven and earth, and we also believe them. I mean, the ruling party right now, okay, before GNU, right? ANC had promised us a lot of things for the past 32 years, and we keep voting for them. Well, I don't. But the reason why they're still in the the ruling party, part of the ruling parties, is because of the promises. How do we make sure they actually deliver these services that they promised during the campaigning?
There's a long and a short answer, but I'll give you the short answer first. And I think accountability. The short answer is accountability.
Yeah.
Elections promises should never be forgotten the day after elections.
Yeah.
I think that is the community should keep record of commitments made by candidates, by political parties, and respectfully remind them after the
Mhm.
elections. But remember, when you were standing there and saying, "You want my vote," you promises this, and this. They have to be accountable. There has to be. It's important to understand that not every promise can be fulfilled immediately.
Mhm.
We all understand that, but municipalities operate with an approved budget, legislation,
Mhm.
procurement processes, planning cycles. So it doesn't mean a community should just simply accept silence or inaction and say, well, they promise they're going to do it. Just remember now, they're going to sit there for 5 years. 5 years they're going to sit and receive a salary. So who is the one that's going to remind them of what they promised the community if the community itself does not remind them of that? So constructive questions often achieves more than confrontation. So don't just go out there blazing guns, now you're going to fight. Just remind them of what they
Yeah.
promised. um,
Yeah.
they should engage with councillors and ask for council feedback. Promise should
Yeah.
become measurable commitments and not forgotten campaign slogans.
Like you say, they forget. They forget once they win the votes. It's almost like we don't exist anymore. They use us actually. And you spoke about the public participation and why should every resident attend these community meetings or integrated development plan meetings. And but I've noticed, what I've realized is that councillors, they hardly attend these meetings. Shouldn't they be present? Shouldn't they be present, representing municipalities in each meeting?
Yes, I think that is the main thing is to be present in those meetings and to give feedback. But one thing that our communities must understand is that um, a lot of people think that the laws and the decisions are being made behind closed doors. But South African laws actually requires municipalities to involve the communities in many of their planning processes. Public participation is the opportunity for residents to influence decisions before they are finalized. And the IDP is essential that municipalities roadmap. It identifies community needs, development priorities, and if people don't attend these meetings, they lose an important opportunity to influence what happened in their particular community. I always say you cannot complain that your road wasn't repaired or your area wasn't prioritized um, if you were never one of the participants in one of these community member meetings where this was the priorities was being discussed. So public participation is about more than just complaining. It's about contributing ideas, identifying priorities. So we at AnchorPoint encourage residents, businesses, community organizations to attend these meetings because lasting change begins making communities become actively involved in decision making.
Now, let's talk about the business and municipal compliance, because I mean, now you have outlined why ordinary citizens, how ordinary citizens can influence municipal decisions beyond simply just voting. I think you have already, answered that. But when it comes to business and municipal compliance, many businesses struggle with municipal approvals and licenses, right? What are the most common challenges that you come across in your line of business?
I think the biggest issue with businesses is they really do not understand exactly um, the ins and outs. Let's put it like that. I think the biggest challenges is that business owners don't know exactly what approvals they need before opening or expanding their business. They often assume that once their company is registered, they are ready to operate. But there are so many municipal requirements, zoning approvals, building plan approvals, your health inspections, signage permits. On the other hand, municipalities themselves can experience administrative backlogs, and this can leave business owners feeling frustrated and uncertain as well. I think another common problem is incomplete applications. A missing document, an incorrect information, or failure to meet a certain municipal requirement can also delay your application progress significantly. Um, this is where preparation becomes very essential. Business owners should ensure that every application is complete. I know sometimes if you fill in a form, you feel, oh, but you know what? In I already said what they are asking me in D again, but rather too much information than too little information. So at AnchorPoint, we often help clients prepare and organize these documentations before submission. I think it's very important to put out there that um, rather be prepared when you go in and give in your application, and make sure that it is going to be easier to process than just to have another delay. Our goal is not simply just to submit paperwork, but we help the business navigate the process efficiently so that they can focus on growing their business and don't sit with all these nitty-gritty little things that subsection A was not filled in correctly.
So I think in that you also have explained how businesses can avoid the delays when dealing with municipalities. So when it comes to the documents, right? Administration, not everyone is good with administration. So what municipal documents should every business owner keep up to date?
I think it's very important to make sure that you've got a well kept record base at your business itself, depending on the nature of your business. But owners should always keep copies of approved building plans where applicable, their zoning approvals, municipal accounts, their proof of rates and taxes and services. It's also very important to make sure that you've got your occupancy certificate, your fire compliance certificates, and all necessary correspondence that you had with the municipality for your business. I know a lot of times when someone comes in there, it's a run around to ask for documentations and for this and that. Rather make sure you've got a file with copies of everything there, documented, and make sure that the people that work for you has got enough knowledge of what's going on. It's very important to keep your company registration documents, tax information, and many agreements relating to the property of the premises. One of the biggest mistakes businesses make in waiting until their problem is there before they start looking for important documents. I always encourage businesses to create both physical and electronic files. If you receive approval, scan it. Make sure you've got that and that you submit an application, keep proof of the submission. At AnchorPoint, we are the heart of administration is the heart of what we do. We help clients create organized records that can save them enormous stress when question arises months or years later. Being organized is not just good business practice, it's actually part of protecting your investment.
So, how does poor municipal administration affect investment and economic growth?
This is very important. This is a very, very important issue because the impact goes far beyond individual businesses. When municipality systems don't function efficiently, investors become hesitant. Businesses may delay expansion. Entrepreneurs may decide not to even open a new venture. When municipalities perform well, businesses are more likely to invest, create jobs, contribute to local economic development. Strong local government benefit everyone, not only business owners, not only employees, but families and communities as well. This is why accountability and good governance matters so much. We believe that government and business are not opponents. They are partners in building thriving communities. Our role is to help bridge communication gaps. A successful local economy starts with effective cooperation between municipalities, businesses, and the communities they serve.
And okay, so let's move to community advocacy, because that's exactly what you're doing, right? Community advocacy. You are we come to you angry, and you're like, okay, now let me address this logically, removing emotions so that there can be a solution, right? But so we are the ones who are benefiting from that. Can one individual approach anchor point with a community issue, or does it have to be the entire community?
No. Community advocacy is about helping people to ensure that their voices are heard through lawful, respectful, and organized engagement. So it is not just a community that can approach Anchor Point. It is an individual that sees that there is a problem in a community. So you identify the community concerns, and then come to Anchor Point. So that means we will be understanding, and we will do the correct government structure responsible for these concerns and talk to them, presenting the issues in a professional manner that encourage solution rather than conflict. Um, Advocacy is not about creating division or promoting political agendas. Like I said right in the beginning, please understand Anchor Point has got nothing to do with politics. We are apolitical, but we are there to empower the people with knowledge and to help them understand that their rights and their responsibilities, and to ensure that concerns are raised through the appropriate channels. Anyone can benefit from community advocacy. It could be an elderly resident facing a struggle with a municipal bill. It can be a farming community facing infrastructure challenges. We believe every person deserves access to guidance, regardless of whether they represent a single household or an entire community. Sometimes helping one person solve a problem can create a positive change in so many other people's lives.
What success stories can you share where mediation resolved a community dispute?
Not talking about a lot of just to go back to the question that we just answered now is, if someone approaches us with a concern, that the first thing we do is we make sure that it affects only one person or it affects the wider community. And then we know how to approve or to approach this. I think without discussing confidential client matters, I can say that there's been a lot of situations that where misunderstanding of administrative challenges were resolved. And then a lot of work that we've done the past 3 weeks, I'll say, is with hospitals. I know we're talking about municipalities now, but there's a lot of people that has got complaints with hospitals, especially the state hospitals. So we had a few success stories in the past 3 weeks with hospitals as well. And in other situations, communities felt ignored because they were receiving no feedback. And once proper communication started with the municipalities as well as with the councillors, there was another channel that was being progressed in that situation. So that is where we started. A lot of these experiences taught us that it is important. Not every dispute requires confrontation. Many problems just require persistence, professionalism, and someone willing to connect with the right people. And this is one of our core values. We believe that lasting solutions are built through relationships and communication. Every successful resolution strengthens trust between communities and institutions and ultimately contributes to stronger local governance. I'll say many of the challenges that we've discussed comes down to one simple issue. People often don't know which government department is responsible for their problem. And that is why it is very important to make sure that you navigate your complaint to the right department.
Yeah, but us as community, we don't know which department to go to. So I'm assuming AnchorPoint, that is why AnchorPoint is there to help us navigate the right department, right?
Yeah, one of the big things you were talking about communities now is one of the big things that AnchorPoint is trying in the communities now, and we've got 3 running already, is in your local community, in your suburb, wherever, we start a AnchorPoint WhatsApp group. And on that action group, you can say, you've got a problem with this, and this is the street address, and this is the area. And we give you guidance on that WhatsApp group as to where to take it to and how to approach the people. And from there, if you don't get any satisfaction, then AnchorPoint steps in. So we are basically guiding the communities as well as to be self-sustainable into talking to the government or to the municipalities and which department. So that is also a strong thing that we as AnchorPoint is advocating at the moment, is to get these WhatsApp groups up and running so that the people understand that they are not alone. There's always someone there that is willing to give them the answer and give them the guidance.
And besides the being angry and fighting and because we are fed up, what other mistakes do people make when submitting complaints to government departments?
I think people often spend months going on from one office to another office because they have referred or they've been referred incorrectly. They become discouraged, lose confidence in the system, and eventually just gives up. So
what advice would you give someone who feels ignored by government officials?
I'll say, firstly, don't lose hope. Government systems can sometimes be slow, but persistence often produces results. Secondly, don't stop following up. Keep your reference numbers, ask for updates, and continue engaging respectfully. And thirdly, escalate matters through the proper channels when necessary. Many departments have supervisors, manager, complaints officers, or oversight structure designed to deal with unresolved matters. Most importantly is don't allow frustration to lead you into unlawful actions or abusive behavior. That really resolves the problem and often creates one that is just bigger. Instead, build a strong paper trail. Every email, every letter, every response becomes part of your evidence. If you need guidance, seek assistance earlier rather than waiting until the situation has become overwhelming. And one of the things that we tell every client at AnchorPoint is never mistake a delay for a dead end. Sometimes you just simply need a better roadmap.
Thank you so much for that advice, and I'm sure people are gonna, now we know what to do going forward, instead of fighting and screaming. So before before these coming elections, we want to make the right decisions, because we have seen now what our votes have led us to, and but what questions should voters ask candidates before casting their vote in November?
I think it's a very, very important question. And I think if you go and sit down with your candidates, there is, I think voters should move beyond slogans and ask practical questions. What are the three biggest challenges facing communities? What practical solutions do you propose? How often will progress be measured? What experience do you have in serving communities? How will you ensure transparency and accountability? Most importantly, ask what they have already done for the community, not only what they are promising to do in the future. Leadership is demonstrated through action, integrity, and service. And the best leaders don't disappear after election. They remain visible, accessible, and accountable.
I like that point, because especially where in communities where it's we're underprivileged, they will go there with the t-shirts and caps, and I don't know what t-shirts and caps are going to help us with, but they do that. A few days ago, I saw a video on TikTok. Politicians went there and they found this old woman washing clothes in a bath right outside, and one of the politicians went there and just assisted, just like holding one pair of jeans, and helped with that. I'm like, so is that how low, like they don't have any ideas anymore? Because around this time, they come and they make a lot of promises. Like right now we are talking about illegal immigration is the biggest topic right now, right? And they're promising that we are going to do things right and legal, because it affects us as a community, um, where illegal immigrants come and they stay within the community, and they when they commit any crimes, they cannot be traced, and therefore our lives are at risk, because when they come here and do these things, the politicians are sitting in their high walled estates with high security, and we complain about these things and we get ignored after voting. I know after voting, a lot of them will be seated back, because now they know they're in parliament and they're getting their paychecks, and you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
what qualities should communities look for in a councillor or a municipal leader?
I think the biggest thing that we must put out there is communities must stop looking at who's popular. Look beyond popularity. You have to look for integrity, honesty, accessibility. Look for someone that listens before speaking. Look for someone who understands the legislation, the governance, and the responsibility of the local government. A good councillor should communicate openly, treat everyone fairly. Leadership is not about who's making the loudest and the biggest promises. It should be about building trust, solving problems, making difficult decisions responsibility, and remaining accountable throughout the entire term of office. Term of office, like I said, is 5 years. You have to go and sit and think. The person that you are voting now is going to be there for 5 years to be your voice in the municipality. Strong communities deserve leaders who serve rather than to seek to be served.
No, I agree fully. And how can residents distinguish between political promises and realistic service delivery commitments? You spoke about a track record, that, what have they done before? And because sometimes we don't look at that. Like you mentioned something very important, and which is why I think people end up voting for these people, how popular they are, and how well spoken they are. Like our president is very well spoken and very patient, and the house will be on fire, and he'll be standing there and smiling, and like, but why do we keep voting for this guy? Like, why do we keep bringing him in leadership position, when we can see that actually he's got his best the interest of this country, and he doesn't care. For him, it's about he's here to do what he needs to do, or to make his money, and vamos, right? So how can we distinguish between political promises and realistic service delivery commitments?
I think this is where informed voting becomes essential. Every promise should be measured against three simple questions. Is it legally possible? Is it financially realistic? And does the municipality actually have the authority to do this? If the answer to any of these questions is no, then the promise should be viewed with caution. Communities should also ask about timelines, budgets, implementation. Anyone can make a promise. A reasonable leader explain how they intend to achieve these promises. As citizens, we should reward honesty rather than unrealistic expectations. Like I said, real leadership sometimes means saying this cannot happen immediately, but this is the plan forward. So transparency builds trust.
I like that. And if you could leave South Africans with one message about building stronger communities and improving local government, what would it be?
I think my message is one of hope, responsibility, and partnership. South Africa belongs to all of us. Strong communities are not built by government alone, they are not built by communities alone. They are built when government, businesses, civil societies, residents work together with a mutual respect and shared commitment to the progress. Every one of us has a role to play. Vote responsible, participate actively, ask informed questions, know your rights, and don't wait for someone else to become the change your community needs. Be part of that change. And at Anchor Point, we believe every challenge has a starting point for a solution. That is why our symbol is so meaningful. An anchor represents stability in life's storms. When people feel overwhelmed by uncertainty or adversity, they need something dependable to hold on to. And a compass represents direction. So I think to strengthen relationships between citizens and government, and ultimately to help build South Africa where every person knows that their voice matters. At Anchor Point, we strive to be your anchor in difficult times and your compass towards a better future.
Thank you so much, Nadine, today for this informative episode. I think I'm going to watch it 10 times. I'm going to keep referring and sharing it with my community members. Okay, because this information it's what we need. We get frustrated. I think the frustration is when we don't know where to go, right? And having people like you and having these kind of discussions, it's really um, important, because now, like I say, 4th of November, now we go there soberly, and but for us to even have better results versus previously is when we know now where do we go. We know this Nadine, we know this anchor point, so I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your the master class, because I think this is what it is. It's a master class, right? And but when I'll keep I'm gonna refer people to you because I know your services are needed out there. So when people want to reach you, do you wanna share your information for those who didn't watch the previous episodes? If you can give them your contact number, your email address, how they can access you, your working hours,
Sure. AnchorPoint can be reached on our WhatsApp line, 065 091 0090. We can also be reached on our landline, 010 011 1088. Then anchorpoint.labor@outlook.com is our email address. And then I'm proud to say that we are live on our website as well. And that is www.anchorpointadminservices.co.za. And all our information, what we do, and how you can reach us is also available on the website.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nadine. I hope to see you in the next episode with another exciting topic. But thank you so much for your service to us South Africans.
Thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Nadine, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your experience, and incredible work that AnchorPoint is doing to support businesses and communities across South Africa. I truly believe today's conversation has equipped our viewers with valuable information that can make a real difference in their workplace, businesses, and communities. To everyone watching, thank you for spending your time with us. If you found this episode valuable, please like, comment, and share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Nude Green with Paballo Sefara. To everyone watching, thank you for spending time with us. If you found this episode valuable, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Nude Green with Paballo Sefara. Remember, every week we bring you conversations with inspiring leaders, entrepreneurs, professionals, and change makers who are making positive impact in our communities. If you'd like to be featured on our visual podcast, share your business, your journey, or your expertise with growing audience, would love to hear from you. Please do contact us through www.nudegreen.co.za or email us at invest@nudegreen.co.za or send us a WhatsApp on 068 215 6789. Until next time, I'm Paballo Sefara, reminding you to stay informed, stay inspired, and keep growing.